Hello everyone and welcome back to EXA Season 10 Division 1 for the penultimate round of the season, when we are here at the Circuit Carlos Pache for the Brazilian Grand Prix. As the championship spices up throughout the back half of the season, we are in to the final couple of races. We are at Interlagos as it stands at 2.6 miles, 15 turns, 10 to the left and 5 to the right, with 2 DRS zones completing the circuit, and it is one of the most historic circuits on the Formula 1 calendar. A circuit that saw Ayrton Senna take home victory while stuck in 6th gear for the last part of the race after his gearbox had a failure. We also saw a dramatic end to the 2008 championship, which saw Lewis Hamilton claim the title, or his first title, on the final corner of the final lap of the race. The last time it held the finale here in Formula 1, it saw Sebastian Vettel in 2012 take his third consecutive title after a disastrous incident on the opening lap and coming back through the field with heavy damage throughout that 71 lap race. But we are here tonight for EXA, and it is our fourth time coming to the Sao Paulo circuit, as we have come back here in season 3, where we saw Joey Van Boesel take victory before returning here in season 7, where the Dutchman repeated the feat. Season 8 saw Kian Godendorp take victory here before Nelson Alves took the victory last time out in season 9. However, with all 3 winners of past not racing here tonight, a new winner will emerge. I'm your commentator, Jamie Jackson, and I will be taking you through tonight's action as we enter the 18 minutes of qualifying very, very shortly. But first, we will have to go through our previous race results. We saw Angelo D'Ortenzio take race victory after completing a 16 position climb through the field, beating out Pascal Ranelli, his Ferrari teammate, by 18 thousandths of a second. 16 Lintott took the 3rd place spot, while Florian Pafanzelta took 4th. Liam Stevens in 5th, while Larry Tolke took 6th. Demi Curiel takes 7th ahead of Alexis Vero and Cameron Dowd, while Tamas Tokany took the took the T10 spot. Lorenz Patton and Jenson Rosen also finished that race, while the rest either DNF'd or DSQ'd. With that in mind, we have the driver standings looking like this. Diego Zorzo, who retired a couple of races back, still leads the standings, but only by a slimmer margin now of 19 points, while Larry Tolke tries to hunt him down. 2 races to go, though, 19 points. And last race only gaining 10 is going to be very tight for the Finn. Pascal Ranelli 1 point further back in P3. The Ferrari is tied with Tamas Tokany on 71 points. Both of them looking to hunt Larry and Diego in the final 2 races. Again, a tall order to do so, but with 50 points on offer between now from this race and between this race and next race maximum, it should be possible to beat Diego Zorzo. Luca Rapassa, who left a while back after being banned back in Monaco, is currently in 5th in the standings, while Angelo D'Ortenzio sits in the same number of points in 6th place, 24 points separate the top 6. 6 points further back, though, is Jenson Rosen in P7, while Gabriel Contino, Tony Hirtella and Liam Stevens complete the top 10. Constructor standings, Ferrari lead the way by 13 points, while Mercedes are sitting P2. Williams 37 points further back in P3, while RB and Red Bull sit 4th and 5th. The Haas squad, Aston Martin, Alpine and McLaren sit 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, while Kick Sauber round out the constructors' standings, 118 points back from Ferrari. Certainly mathematically out at this point, but with 2 races to go. The constructors is still a fight between the Ferrari and the Mercedes, who will take the constructors' crown. With that in mind, we just quickly look at the calendar because we are still waiting to go. I think we are getting ready to go in the next couple of moments, but we have our 2 races. This was our calendar for this season. We've been through all these circuits, bar Austria, and then we raced in Spain instead of Canada. But with Brazil and Abu Dhabi as our last 2 races of season 10, it is going to be an interesting battle. 2 very different circuits, one with significant undulation and elevation change over the period of the circuit, and a very short circuit nonetheless. It's got a lot of action in store tonight. Abu Dhabi, a completely different circuit, provides good racing on the game, and is much more flat, but it has some very unique corners in comparison to Brazil as well. So who can master both? Who will take the title? It is going to be an interesting fight for the finale. We are getting underway as we go into qualifying. We are now in getting ourselves prepared for the 18 minutes of qualifying that needs to head up. And now we have, just to get ourselves ready, we have got a very interesting title fight. Larry Tolke is very close, as well as Pasquarinelli and Tamas Kokone. Andrea Hortensio in there. Jenson Rosen could potentially guess he's 30 points back, but it is very much possible for him to do so. He's taken 2 P2s this season. If he takes another 2, it could very much be on. Yes, it'd be difficult because Larry Tolke is so only 11 points clear of him, but it is going to be a bit more difficult in comparison to keep that form in such a tightly knit field. So with that in mind, we are going into qualifying. 18 minutes of qualifying starts now. The drivers will get their setups on as it's a dry qualifying session for our race to go. And it is going to be an exciting session, this is. With 16 drivers currently here. You can do points down to 15... 15th place, so all these drivers bar one at the moment will gain points. It'll be interesting to see how Formula Kai, who streamer and trying to make his grind all the way through towards the top of PSGL, is going to use this as an opportunity to get some practice in ahead of the PSGL round. I think that's tomorrow, I believe, if I'm correct. I may be slightly wrong. I don't. But with that in mind, it is going to be an interesting battle between these drivers. Cameron Dowd also here. I am on the wrong screen. No wonder why that didn't change. There we go. So we've got a couple of drivers. Cameron Dowd has decided that he's not going to partake in qualifying. He's going to go off the circuit and disqualify himself. Andrea Hortensio retiring in the pit lane, meaning that he will start P15 at the most. That is not what I wanted to copy. Okay, thank you. Anyway, we'll continue on with that. So we're just going to continue to our second place or currently second place in the timing tower. We'll see if we can get every information up at the moment. We currently have a Red Bull of Alexi Cavero currently going out for a flying lap. We will stay on board with the Red Bull as we run down to turn 1. As we go into turn 1, massive lock up there on the front left wheel, but he does manage to get through the first corner, 2 corners quite neatly. Round turn 3 as he swoops down towards the DRS line now. Just a straight run to the end of sector 1 before you hit on the brakes at about 100 metre board, down to about 3rd or 4th gear into turn 4. Now up through the gears through 5, flat through there as we go up to the long right hander of turn 6 and 7. It's just a very, very easy corner in terms. Oh, it's a very difficult corner, but easy here on the soft, low fuel running session as we look at this Japanese special livery Red Bull. In its flesh, it's a very good looking car, as is a very good choice from Alexi Cavero as we go through sector 2 now, punting our way through really the penultimate corner before you go through the final braking point. As we climb up the hill, there's about 3 corners here, however, it is just one long swoop and flat run to the line. What time does Alexi Cavero do, and what is the benchmark for these drivers? 6.8 is what these drivers need to be. Here we Tony Piatella, who comes up to the line next. He crossed the line with a 6.5, 3/10 quicker. Next up will be the Mercedes, maybe, of Sten Lindhart. It will be, who goes P3 with a 7.6. Next up across the line will be Jenson Rosen in the Williams. Can the driver that is 30 points back in the standings from the championship leader, can he make an impression tonight and put himself in a better position heading into the final round of the season? He puts himself P3 with a 6.8, himself 300 behind Alexi Cavero. The next driver to cross the line will be Tamas Kokone to start his flying lap, while Gabriel Amato is not the next driver across the line, I believe. Just looking at the rest of the field, no one else is currently on the lap at the moment who is close. So we are going to see what Gabriel Amato is going to go through as you go round the final corner and up towards the line we go. Just
run and keep it tight to the inside. You've got to make sure you optimize this line. You cannot lose an inch, because it loses you a couple hundredths here and everywhere as he goes up towards the line. A 6.8, 200ths between him and Alexi Guerrero, only 100th between, less than 100th between Jensen Rosen and Gabriel Amato. Next drive to cross line will be Daniel Krill to take the flag, and the next one will be a Mercedes who's coming into the pit lane, so it will be Hamas Kokone to cross the line next. Fastest in sector 2, apparently 50.7 in the opening 2 sectors. Is that going to be good fortune for the Williams as he flies up towards the line? Now DRS enabled as we make the run through towards the start finish line, sticking right to that inside line. 6.5, 700 quicker than Tony Teller, who is going to be a thorn in the side of our championship leaders tonight. And I certainly think there's going to be a few thorns in the side of these drivers. Larry Tolkien, P2 for the P2 man in the standings. Next up will be Formula Kai, who goes to P8 with a 7.3, just a couple tenths behind Vortex Steg. 610 Linthart, he just surpasses by a couple tenths as well. So next to cross the line will be Lorenz Patton, I believe. Yes, it will be. He will come up to the line also in the Japanese special livery Red Bull as he comes up towards the line. As we go up towards the line, P7 for him, a 6.8. As we see a very good job from him. Damon Krill with a 19.6. I believe he will be going again. It will be Tom Roberts for the next one. As he goes on a very, very big oversteering moment and goes through the polystyrene board. Oh, very, very lucky there. Luckily, that was polystyrene and not an actual barrier. So he continues on. He'll, I believe, go around for another outlap. I'm very surprised with that. I don't know why he is. I think this is going into the pits if after that one, unless he thinks those tyres are just okay and it was just a little bit of grass, they can get smudged off. Next across the line will be, I guess, everyone else is kind of coming into the pit lane at this stage. We wonder if Tom Roberts can do it. But currently, Taran Kokone is on a 6.5, ahead of Larry Tolkien, who is also on a 6.5, but 700s back. 7,000s back is Tony here, Della in P3. Well, Alex Cabero P4 on a 6.8. Gabriel Amato as well, and Jensen Rosen. We got 3 sets of 3 drivers, 4 sets of 4 drivers, in times which are very close. Damien Krill goes to 6.7, a very good lap from him. So it'll be next across the line will be 610 Linthart, who's going for another flying lap. Hello to everyone in the chat. Yes, we do have Formula Car here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. He currently sits P10, and I believe he will want to be going a lot higher than that. As we now need to see. As the 610 Linthart goes around the left-hander and up towards the rest of sector 2 through turn 7 and 6 and turn 7, as we go into turn 8, locking up that front right tyre as we go through the rest of the lap. We'll stick on board with the Mercedes as he climbs up towards the slowest speed corner on the circuit, and now we go dipping it down flat through the left hander. Just got to stick it as close to the inside line for that as well. Chucks it into the final braking point, gets a bit of a lock up, I heard over the on audio. Can the Mercedes get himself to the top end of the timesheet? 610 Linthart, podium sitter last time out, only P9, 6.9. Gets a tenth slower than Lorenz Patton, but he goes quicker than his teammate as the rest of the field start to fly out for their second runs of the session. We begin to see drivers going out onto an outlap. It will be Tony Teller or it will be Vortex Steg. It will be Vortex Steg as 610 Linthart has a bit of lag there. As we continue on through Leafield, Vortex Steg is going to do his next line run. 7.1 currently, P10 in the standings. A driver who has certainly impressed throughout the season, but currently sitting at the bottom half of the field in the qualifying region as he now goes to climb up the hill, gets a bit of oversteer on the exit of the final corner as he actually comes into the pit lane, deciding he does not want to do a lap. A lap after that outlap, maybe just scrubbing a set of tyres. So it will be Tony Yetter who comes up to start his flying lap into turn 1. We go lock up there from the arse. We're going to see a fair bit of locking up as they hit the brakes so hard in these cars, these modern Formula 1 cars. They are trying to get the maximum possible out of it. We now go into turn 4, fastest sector 1, according to our track map, as we go through up towards 5. Now down towards the right hander of 6 and 7. Just got to keep it tight and hope the car grips, and hope there's grip in those tyres, and hope they are optimized for what the load they are going to be taking as we head through the rest of sector 2 up through turn 8. As each us keeps it tight there. Got to keep the ERS off though to maximise what he'll have all the way on the run up towards the line. And now into turn 9. Turn 10. Yeah, turn 10. And up through that's 11, that as well. And run up towards the line 12, 13, 14, and 15 as we go up towards the line. And he decides he doesn't want to complete that lap after a few oversteering moments. Very, very hard. It's very hard in this circuit in terms of trying to keep everything together, but certainly these drivers are trying to push the boundaries, trying to push every single thing part of these cars to the absolute limit. Gabriel Mato has invalidated his lap time somewhere, I believe, in sector 3. He comes into the pit lane, and that is the end. Oh, that's the end of that run for the Alpine, as Thomas Cockney has retired from the session with 6.5. Our current fastest driver retiring now. I'm not sure what's happened, if anything's happened to the Williams, if he's disconnected or something, but he unfortunately will not participate in the remainder of this session. So we'll see. As Jensen Rosen is not on the lap, he's miles down on his time currently, as the Williams just comes into the pit lane. And we'll see, as Formula Kai is currently on a lap, but he should be on an actual lap, sorry. He's not, I don't think, unfortunately for him. I think he's backed out of that one. Yeah, he's not going as quickly, and he's backed off. Yeah, you can see. So, unfortunately for the RB, we will not see him in action, despite a very, very good, strong-looking livery. Again, another good-looking livery. We've had some good liveries this year, I'd like to say. Some good special liveries from the Formula 1 grid. And this is one of them. This is very nice livery, nonetheless. I wonder if Formula Kai goes and tries to put a better time in with these tyres, or if he decides he is going to back out and go into the pit lane, he will go into the pit lane. So the next driver to cross the line will be Larry Tolkien, maybe, as he comes up to the line and goes fastest by 6.4, just under a tenth of a second quicker than Tamas, but that puts him on provisional pole position. Is that going to be enough? Not if the drivers behind have anything to say about Tom Roberts not going to be going any faster on this particular lap. Vortex Steg currently on the lap, going through the left-hander up of sector 3. Now we run up towards the line. Just keep it tight, keep it neat, make sure you minimise the run as we run up towards the line. It is a 6.7 from him, puts himself P7, just ahead of Alexi Cavero, but behind Tom Roberts in P6 at the moment. It is going to see if Alexi Cavero can top the Mercedes. At the moment, he was up in the first 2 sectors, a tenth up overall by the end of the lap, and he goes 6 thousandths quicker than Vortex Steg. The next driver to cross the line will be Lorenz Patton, 2 tenths quicker in the first 2 sectors. What is he going to do? P5, 6.5, a thousandth off of Jensen Rosen as he goes into the top 5 and the Red Bull really impressing at the moment. Next up will be the Mercedes of 610 Lindhart, who starts a flying lap at this stage. I think Tony Hiatella has also started a lap, so we'll keep an eye on both drivers as Tony a half a tenth up in the first sector. Tony looking like he can maybe put the fight for pole against Larry at the moment. Hiatella, Dolke, Rosen, Patton and Cockney are all, well, Cockney unfortunately leaving the session, but that is our current top 5. Can anyone sneak into that top 5 and steal one of them 5 drivers' spot? At the moment, we see Tony going through sector 2 now. He's just making sure that that ERS is optimized for the run to the line. Is it going to be opportunity for it for the Haas driver to move his way into the top into the top of the timesheets? He decides not to do anything with that, and he decides to pit at the end of that lap, and he will not make any sort of improvement in that sort of link, and then he retires from the session. The Haas has decided he will see in P3. He's decided he will not go any quicker, and he is done for the session. Meanwhile, then Lindhart goes a 10th quicker, but still remains in P11 at this stage. So who is next? And he makes a massive oversteer of that movement, and unfortunately the Mercedes, I don't think he's too happy with that. With 3.5 minutes to go, he, after getting a podium last time out, he wasn't getting a podium, wasn't it? I'm right, am I? Yes, I was. I did. I double check myself, but yeah, he's unfortunately starting outside the top 10. We'll see as Giovanni Gialotto will become the next driver to either start a lap, or he's going very slowly to do one. He is not going to start a lap. I think he is going for into the pit lane. So it'll be Gabriel Amato who is going to start a flying lap. He'll be our next driver to complete a flying lap. As long as there is no sort of errors, again, lock up into turn 1. Braking hard. Oh, massive oversteer, and he's got off the circuit, and he's gone into the wall, and he's out the session. That is pure frustration there. That is pure frustration from the Alpine, who is sitting P10, and he is done for the session with only a couple minutes to go. Very unfortunate. 16 Lindhart is just drifting around Sao Paulo. I guess if you're not going to get another time in and you've got some clean air as well, as long as you're not impeding anyone else. Christ, that was a good car control right up until that line there, but yeah, very, very unfortunate day for the Mercedes in qualifying. Can he make the recovery in the race? He got people down the field though, like Cameron Dowles, Andrea D'Ortenzio, Liam Stevens, all looking to make the improvements necessary. Tom Roberts goes for a second outlap by the looks of it, as our next driver to cross the line will be Wojtek Steg, who is going to go for a flyer potentially, and goes into turn 1. He gets a lock up there. Just got to keep it tight, because you've got to open up the exit for turn 2 and make sure you optimize this. That is the crucial thing. You got to optimize your runs, because otherwise you will lose time down this straight. Every mile an hour counts, as be it third of a tenth up, sorry, for Wojtek Steg, as he goes through sector 1. Bit of slipstream there from Tom Roberts. Unintentional, probably. Certainly helpful, as Wojtek Steg goes into sector 2 now. Got to keep it tight through 8 and into turn 9. Now the run up to turn 10 is a crucial one, because you've got to make sure you get that line right, because you dart back in as the track banks inwards as we go through towards sector 3 now. Are currently nearly a tenth up. Can he get any more improvement out of this time? He's certainly going to have a bit of slipstream, a little bit of toe of the Red Bull in front of him, but is that going to be helpful enough to get him closer to that top of the timesheet? It is a 6.6, and he goes slower in sector 3, but he goes to P6 with that time after only 600ths up. A solid time there, but is that going to be enough, as Alex Guevara goes faster, pushing the Mercedes down to P7? Tom Roberts starts his flying laps, and next up will be Jensen Rosen, who is currently 400ths down in the first 2 sectors. Is he going to find a time to get himself into top 2 positions? No, he doesn't. He decides to throw it into the wall. He didn't improve, and that is his day done. Is Larry Tolke the next driver? He's got improvement, a tenth for the third. He goes faster. He is faster than what anyone else can do. 6.3. Currently fastest time at the moment. Is that gonna be enough, as Formula Kai doesn't cross the line in time, as he sits himself in P12. Damien Krul, 6.5 from him. Who is next? It'll be Lorenz Patton, who comes up to line. He's 4.5 down. Is Tom Roberts going to be able to get any quicker, though he's currently nearly a tenth up. He's going to maybe use the slipstream off of Votek Stig. I don't think Stig knows what he's going to be doing here, because he's got a slipstream, giving a massive toe to the back of the Mercedes. He knows what he's doing. He's going to give him the help he needs, as Tom Roberts goes clearly a quarter of a second clear, and he goes P2 with a 6.4, but he's still attempting a third off, and that is session over. It is Larry Tolkey who takes pole position, and our P2 man in the driver's standings looks to lay claim to P1. If he finishes in that same position, he sits on poling in 36 laps time. Larry Tolkien, the Alpine P1. Tom Roberts with an excellent job to get P2, and certainly a very good run from the Sauber. The rest of the field will be certainly catching that front row. We'll see how that makes a difference. Larry Tolkien on pole. Tom Roberts P2. The Hungarian of Town Cockney, who retired earlier on in the session. P3. Damien Carroll takes P4. Tony Hertella P5. Jensen Rosen P6. The Red Bulls of Lorenz Patton and Alex Cavero P7 and P8. Votek Stick P9 with Gabriel Mato rounds out the top 10. 16 in top Formula Guy. Giovanni Galetto, Liam Stevens, Andrew Dortencio and Cameron Downs round out the grid. The bottom four did not set a time, but 6/10 cover the top, all 12 drivers who set a time, and that is a very close one, considering the gap between first and second is a tenth and a third as well. So yeah, it's that's a fairly sizable margin in terms of league race or top end league racers at this stage. With 2 races to go, Larry Tolkey really wants that title now. And that is going to be the crucial matter. Who is going to take the title? Could it be Larry? He certainly put himself in the driving seat for the penultimate round to lay claim and put one hand on the trophy in terms of making sure that he takes the championship lead. But is he going to stay there? With that in mind, we have high strategy to talk about. Everyone will be on mediums, but maybe Liam Stevens on hards, as well as Cameron Dowd at the moment. Both of them, the only two on the alternate strategy. Will we see anyone else switch over, or is everyone going to remain on what they earn? It's going to be a very difficult race, or some drivers further down the field. It's not an easy track to overtake, but it is certainly a track you can overtake if you manage your tyres earlier on and you push it later on. So we're going to go to our 5 red lights for the Brazilian Grand Prix, the penultimate round of the EXA season. It is lights out, and away we go. We see Larry Tolkien get a good start. Such Tom Roberts has to slot in behind. Both the top 2 managed to defend there. As we go in through turn 2, side-by-side action between Tamas Cockney and Lonely here, Ted Isa Williams and the Haas side-by-side as we go into the right turn 4. Contact further down as the drivers are pushing each other and trying to find room for one another. Tamas trying to get through to P3 but cannot quite do it as Tony gets the run on the exit after the Williams gets caught up on the curb. Costi contact further backwards, and the Aston Martin of Giovanni Galatto is down the order. We see the rest of the field carrying on. The Aston Martin continues on, no safety car as it stands, but we are seeing battling further down in the field as Angelo D'Ortenzio, P11 already from P15. Alexi Cavero side by side with his teammate of Lorenz Patton as we go through the end of sector 2, as up towards the final braking point. Damage for I think that is Lorenz Patton as we go from all the way up the hill now. Is that going to cost him as we get into turn 1? He's certainly going to have to run. He certainly has a bit of extra straight line speed on him. He used a bit of ERS there. We're going to see drivers go into turn 1. I mean, they try and go side by side in the background between the Mercedes and the Aston Martin. The Red Bulls go side by side. It's 2 by 2 as we go into turn 2. As Alex Cavero pulls out that one. We're 3 wide back there as it is Linda trying to get past Stevens and Patton. Aaron's Patton blocked down to P10. Lindhart and Stevens though up the P8 and P9. Angelo D'Ortenzio is not going to be giving up this one though, because he's going to be right on the back of that Red Bull who has got damage in the early phases. Angelo D'Ortenzio, I wonder what tyres he's on. There's a few more drivers on the hard compound tyres. It is Lorenz Patton who flies off into the barriers, and that's a safety car caused by the Red Bull. I wonder if there was any contact And I believe that is him done for the day. And that is the range pattern done, and the safety car is out. We see Giovanni Gatto, who pitted on the opening lap, stuck behind the safety car at the moment. He will pull ahead. Now he has, as everyone now goes to the back of the field. And at the moment, Larry Tolkey it leads the way. Had a fairly quiet start in comparison to Tom Roberts. Tom Roberts make it the top two had a very quiet start in comparison to the rest of the field, I should say. Tom Roberts sticking right with Larry Tolkey in the early phases, while the rest of the field, a couple of them come into the pit lane, including Votek Liam Stevens and Gabriel Amato, as they enter the pit lane to switch onto a fresh pair of Pirellis. Meanwhile, we see the rest of the field remain out on track. Everyone now gets himself a little bit more relaxed. They got a chance to calm themselves down after what was a chaotic start in terms of drivers fighting. But now, I think there's been a contact back there of the Williams and the Red Bull. There was Alex Cabrera, severe collision, 10-second time penalty with Jensen Rosen. That is devastating news for the Red Bull team, who already one of their cars out of the race, now another with a 10-second time penalty. It is a very, very difficult day for Red Bull, and we are only on lap 3 as the drivers all bunch themselves right up against each other. Not sure what is happening back there. At the moment, though, we continue on with the opportunity for these drivers to now get themselves optimized in terms of tyre temperature. If you've wasted your tyre a little bit in that opening stint, that opening 2 laps, then you've got time to at least rectify that. Get the tyres cool, get the engine cool, get the everything prepared. Alex Cabrera comes into the pit lane, another 10 seconds for ignoring yellow flags. That is devastating for the Red Bull, who got a legal overtaking penalty. He's going to come in and serve the first one he got. He's at least going to have an opportunity to come round again and hopefully get that 10-second time penalty served. Very unlucky there for Alex Cabrera. Vortex also into the pit lane to put on a new set of tyres again, by the way. The Mercedes deciding to switch tyres a couple times in this pit stop window. There's a bit of slowing up for in the middle though, however. It is not looking like the gaps are being kept relatively close. There's a lot of slowing and speeding up in the middle of the road. As we continue on. So I'm opening a drink. As we look at the positions gained, that's the wrong one. There you go. 7 positions gained there for Angelo D'Ortenzio, 6 from Cameron Dowles, 3 for Formula Car and Liam Stevens respectively. Tony Hiatella, the only other driver to gain positions, while the top 2 and Jensen Rosen remain in the positions they started in. It's going to be an interesting battle for these drivers, an interesting fight to see how that start affects everyone, because Angelo D'Ortenzio has proven time and time again that 16 positions gained he'd done from last race certainly makes a difference at the moment. And it's going to be a hard fought battle for these drivers for the next 30 or so laps by the end of it. As Giovanni Galato actually pitted again, so we are going to go for another lap as Alex Cabrera this time coming to serve the other 10-second time penalty. Shame there for the Red Bull. They got that, but luckily for him, he was already at the back of the field, so he will only drop one more to the Aston Martin. As we continue on to the rest of the session. At the moment, though, Tamas, Tony, Larry Tolkien, Tom Roberts, Tony, Tamas, Damien, Jensen, 16, Angelo, Formula Car, Cameron Downs are our top 10. Liam Stevens, Gabriel Mato, Vortex Stick. As we see, Ooh, that's a bit interesting there. Tony Hill and Tom Roberts swap positions briefly, but as we go through the rest of the session, Dari Tolkien got to manage the field shortly because the rest, when the Red Bull and the Aston Martin catch up, it is going to be go for the Alpine. So we will go around, I believe, for another lap under this safety car. Get your tyres prepped, ladies and gentlemen, because at the moment it is going to be sooner rather than later. These drivers will have to get going. Never mind, safety car is in this lap. We will see. Larry Tolkien, bring the field back to where we start, and we will get going again for the rest of this 36 lap race. Larry Tolkien leading the field, getting them all boxed in and getting them all prepared to go racing again. He goes now. Larry Tolkien, P2 man in the standings, looking to make it P1 by the end of this race. Can he do so? It's going to be side by side between Tony Hill and Tom Roberts into turn one as the Haas shows his nose. He doesn't quite do it there. Meanwhile, we're going to see battling between Tamas and Damien. Tamas manages to keep ahead of the McLaren. Meanwhile, here comes Tony, side by side between him and the Mystery Machine. The Haas is going to try and move up to P2, starting P5. Is it P2 for the Haas? He done this move from Tamas earlier. Tamas got stuck on the curb, not so much this time for Tom. As Tom continues to fight, he backs out of that one. He lets Tony have it, and Tony takes P2 in an excellent move from the Haas. Diving up the inside, it's Tom Roberts though. Roberts trying to make that move stick. He can't quite do it there as we continue up the hill now towards the next braking zone. Hairpin for the Sauber to the inside. Can he make the move stick and repass and regain position? They're going to allow Larry to get out of DRS at this stage. He's got to continue fighting, but Tony managed to get back by. However, that 1 second window is gone. It is now Tony trying to push to get back in the DRS of Larry at this stage, but he's going to have to use extra amounts of ERS to try and jump ahead. But at the moment, these drivers are not giving an inch as we see the rest of the field diving up the inside. Goes to Williams of Tamas as he tries to make that work. He couldn't quite do it there. He locked up, but he manages to keep it clean as Tom Roberts looks to be struggling a little bit more in comparison to the Haas and the Williams. Tom tries to has to stick to the outside as the Williams takes the inside line. Massive lock up there and a retirement there from Tom Roberts. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. It's like he just suddenly turned right. There wasn't any contact between the drivers, unless there's contact between him and Tamas on his screen. A bit of debugging there. And unfortunately, Tom Roberts has decided he's done with the race. I wonder if something may have happened in terms of on his end. I'm not sure. But if there was contact on his end in comparison to what we saw, it is going to be difficult. But that is Tom Roberts, our second time of the race. Now it is Larry Tolkien, Tony Hill, Tamas Cockney, Damien Carrillo, Jensen Rosen, our top 5, 6, and Lindhart, P6 after starting P12, Angelo Dortencio, P7 after starting P15. It is being a climb through the field in the early acts for some of these drivers. As we run into turn 1, it is Larry who leads the way. Tony, though, fastest lap of the session. We continue on as the Williams of Liam Stevens has dropped to the back of the field. I think there's been some sort of spinner. I think there might have been some sort of incident as Formula Kai drops down a little bit. He actually spins as well, and that's very important for him. He now is in P14. Meanwhile, Larry Tolkien got an 8/10 gap though to Tony Hill. Tony managing to get back in DRS, and that's the crucial thing, because if at the moment he needs to make sure he keeps that DRS, because if Larry breaks it permanently or even for a collapse, he might very well storm away. It is going to be a difficult day for drivers who are further back though. It's this DRS train forms between the top 11 drivers, Liam Stevens, Giovanni Galato and Formula Kai further back in the field, and it's going to have to be what we can see. Larry Tolkien leading the way. We're going to see Tony Hirtella using the DRS and using it as an opportunity to regain ERS. No threat from behind at the moment. We are going to see as Tony, Tamas, Larry try and fight it out for victory. Damien is going to get involved, and Jensen Rosen is also there. There's a lot of championship implications in this race, and it all depends on who comes out on top. Tony not in the championship fight, Damien as well. They're not really they're kind of in the mix at the moment between the drivers who have opportunities to win the championship, and they could certainly spoil someone's day, whether it is Larry's, Tamas, Jensen, Angelo D'Ortenzio, or even further back. I think Gabriel Mato is also still in this at the moment. But any of these drivers could still ruin their other drivers' day in terms of getting involved, getting ahead, and taking points, crucial points in the final 2 races of the season off of the championship rivals. Larry Tolke going to continue to lead the way at this moment in time with P1 as he go on to lap 10 after completing that lap, and now 7 tenths between him and Tony. Tony just sticking in that kind of 6th to 8th tenth region. That's 10-second time penalty for Gabriel Mato for speeding in the pit lane. He retires from the session. He's done with the day. I'm not sure what his reason for that was, but if he has unfortunately left that one for dead. So now we see Formula Car 3-second time penalty, our first 3-second time penalty of the session, with track limits for Larry at the moment. Tony Hietala is not for Larry, for Formula Car, as Larry and Tony is trying to build that gap and build himself a safety net for when we get to that DRS, but Tony is just sticking to him at the moment. At the moment, we are going to see whether the Alpine can just hold on at the moment. He's just got to manage this race from here on out, because at the moment he needs to make sure that Haas does not get anywhere near his overtaking at the moment, and at the moment he's done a very decent job of that, as Liam Stevens jumps ahead of Alexi Cavero to move up into P10, and the Aston Martin on the hard compound tyres might start coming good here if those hard start to work even better. And at the moment, Larry Tolke is going to lead the way. Who is the lead hard runner? It is Angelo D'Ortenzio. That is a crucial name in that hard tyre window. At the moment, he is looking, and I mean looking, to try and take a second win in a row here. And at the moment, the Ferrari is a serious threat for later in the race. Maybe not quite at the moment, but when the tyres switch over and we get to that later stages where the tyre deficit is much more significant and the gaps between the field have certainly spread out, it could certainly make some form of difference. Currently, at the moment, we see in the standings we have. I didn't realise Gabriel Mato is not in this championship fight as much, to be honest. But it is going to be a 5-way fight at the moment. Plus Diego, whoever can, if they all catch Diego's also for the title. Actually, I say that Pascal Ranelli has not joined the session, so he at the moment is currently looking to be almost out of this at the moment, and could be out of the title hunt after this race. Tamas, Larry, Angelo D'Ortenzio, Jensen Rosen all fighting here to claim the title. Is there any opportunity for these drivers to do so? Lap 12 of 36 at the moment. I'm going to get rid of that because that's blocking the view. Tony looking to try, and I mean try, to find his way by and kind of spoil these guys' day. Currently, he sits P9 in the standings. He does have a couple P2 finishes throughout this season so far. Currently sits 50 points back in the standings from the championship leader of Diego Sorzo. But is that good? That will certainly not deter him. He goes for the move now. DRS and up towards the inside. Making the move up the inside. Larry couldn't do much of that. The Tony moves into the race lead and is looking to take his first win of the season. Can Larry stop him though, who hasn't got a victory himself? Has only finished best P3 once. He's finished in the top five times, so far this season, and he's at the moment he has only finished on a podium once this season. At the moment, his consistency, he could lead himself to a title, but it is going to be very difficult because at the moment you've got Tamas, who's currently in P. Well, he's also only got one P3 in the standings at the moment, P3 and race result. So these both are also going to be fighting out for their highest place to finish this race at the moment. As Liam Stevens moves up ahead of Vortex Steg. He's past 610 Lindhart as well. Both Mercedes are now past. But Tony Hirtella looks to have a very good pace mark at the moment. Can he use his pace to pull out of that DRS over Larry Tolkien in the next few laps? It is going to be a case of can Larry stick with Tony, or will Tony begin show some true pace here now as we go through the rest of the race? It is going to be a case of can Tamas do anything against him either? Can Jensen Rosen do anything? Giovanni Gialatto speed in the pit lane. He retires from the session, and that is his date done. And at the moment, it's going to be whether Larry Tolkien, Tamas Cockney, Tony Hirtella, Damien Curl, Jensen Rosen, Angelo Dortenzio, and Cameron Dowds at the moment. Oh, as Tamas looks to the inside, he had a sneaky look there. He certainly isn't going to give this one up. We've got 6 drivers currently, 7 drivers within DRS. Very close proximity to each other, not 10 drivers within that DRS window of each other though. It is still this massive train, as we see Andrew Dortenzio getting a little bit feisty there with Jensen Rosen. He's trying to make a move, he's trying to tempt his fate currently as we go through to the heart. We're now into the second third of the race, as at the moment these drivers are really starting to bring up the heat now. They're starting to get themselves prepared. It's still ready to come. It's Angelo Dortenzio moves to the inside of the Williams to Jensen Rosen. He's fighting one of his rivals. Is this going to be a move that makes sure he takes that position away from Jensen Rosen and takes the opportunity away to stay in a championship fight if he can get to Larry? But at the moment, Angelo Dortenzio looking for that second win in a row, looking to take it away from the 4 drivers up in front of him who haven't scored a victory yet, who are looking to try and bring gold home. At the moment, it's anyone's game. And Angelo Dortenzio, though, on the hard tyres, certainly looks to be in the picture. Now, with him looking to the inside, diving up the inside, bit of contact there between him and the McLaren, but the Papaya car manages to read it, manages to keep it going. As we go around the outside, in through the fast left-hander, and he takes home P4 away from the McLaren. And Angelo Dortenzio on an absolute charge at the moment. 15 laps in, he currently started P15, currently P4. It is going to be one of those drives again. Angelo Dortenzio not giving an inch. We go into turn 1, 610 Lindhart with a 10-second tyre penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Jensen Rosen, Damien Curriel both come into the pit lane as well to get some new pairs of tyres. And now we see the train begin to break. This is going to be a case of who the undercut, where yes, it'll give you more opportunity to try and help try and get by and give yourself track position. You will have the tyre disadvantage even more so later on when you're fighting the likes of Angelo Dortenzio, who is going longer on these hard compound tyres. So he at the moment is going to use the pace advantage to make some more overtakes. He's trying to go to the outside as Tamas Cockney manages to defend it, but he's going to get the cut back. That's a beautiful cut back there from the Ferrari. Is that going to be enough, or has Tamas got enough? He pushes him to the line, but he keeps himself in the track limits and keeps P3 currently, as the Williams at the moment is defending hard. He is defending against that Ferrari as he goes into the pit lane. Tamas, Tony and Larry all into the pit lane. Tony's got a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and that is devastating there for the Haas. He enters pit lane as our race leader with a 10-second time penalty. Angelo Dortenzio assumes the race lead ahead of Cameron Dowds, Liam Stevens and Vortex Stick, who are on the hard currently. And at the moment, it has ended the race being a very, very different story now. Tony, with that 10-second, it is going to be a difficult day, but he has got a fair margin over his rivals, who currently, Larry gets jumped by Damien Carrillo, and Tamas gets jumped by Jensen Rosen. And at the moment, they've also got lost out on DRS in comparison to Tony here, Della, who is currently P5, but that 10-second time penalty, he needs to build himself some sort of gap. He needs to hope Angelo and the top four get really stuck behind this crew. But Angelo is not going to get stuck in terms of he has a track record for making overtakes happen, and he is making this work. And at the moment, it could be anyone who wins this race. Angelo D'Ortenzio, Cameron Dowd, Liam Stevens and Vortex Steak, all very close to one another, but they're currently yet to pit. Then we've got Tony Hotella, Damien Carrillo, Larry Tolke. This goes to the inside. Larry Tolke, mate, assumes, takes, provisional P2 at the moment, will be race lead on the 10-second time penalty front. But is Larry going to put? He needs to push, because he needs to make sure he gives a much of a margin to Angelo D'Ortenzio later on in the race and the rest of the hard runners, because he cannot afford to lose out on time. As we now go into the sector 2, at the moment they've currently got a 1.5 second gap, Larry, between him and Tony. Tony is going to be pushing non-stop. He's got nothing to lose now. He's got that 10-second time penalty, and if there's a safety car, he'll be able to get away with it. It certainly will not end his day. Certainly at the moment he's ending his day, but he's just got to hold it out and hope there's that safety car coming soon. Angelo D'Ortenzio leads the way ahead of Cameron Dowd. Meanwhile, Liam Stevens, Vortex Steger, P3 and P4. At the moment, the hard runners just running in formation as things stand. Can Cameron Dowd apply the pressure to Angelo D'Ortenzio on the hards, as Tony here tell up with the fastest lap of the race. He is pushing those tyres and making sure he builds a gap now, because at the moment it's not just about he will lose the race win. He's going to be losing a lot of points if he does not pull that gap. So the bare minimum, he needs to just keep pushing. Cameron's been doing really well since rejoining. Absolutely, he's done a very good race so far. He's very much kept it all nice and close to Angelo in these early phases. They both kind of came through the field together, starting P15 and P16. Yes, they're yet to pit, but at the moment, very close to one another. Angelo he won out last week, and Cameron is certainly keeping in that DRS window quite comfortably at the moment. As we go on to lap 20 or 36, we will see that these top four will come into the pit lane very, very shortly, and it is going to be a case of where do these cars come out in comparison to the rest of the group of race leaders. Really, you got Tony, Larry, Damien, Jensen and Hamas all up there. Will they come out directly behind, or will there be a bit more of a gap as Vortex Stig drops a little bit further back from Liam Stevens? He's now 1.7 seconds behind that top three group, and at the moment he is certainly not going to be over quite yet. We've still got 16 laps to go, and still anyone really can win this race. It can fall any way, and a bit of luck could certainly help any of them. Will these guys pit this time round, or will they continue on to gain that extra tyre advantage later on, and that means they can push the cars even harder? As at the moment they stay out for another lap. Cameron Dowd, Angelo D'Ortenzio, Liam Stevens and Vortex Steg, I think he's staying out. Yes, he has, as they continue on through towards turn 1. At the moment, not much is happening. These guys are all probably pitting out. Yeah, I did think that, and they're still going to continue on. I think they're trying to build themselves a bigger tyre offset, hoping that the mediums, because they saw in the first stint, the mediums didn't last quite as long as what the other drivers were hoping for. They did lose a lot of pace to the hard runners, meant that Angelo, Cameron, Liam and Vortex managed to not just keep pace but start overtaking in the middle of a DRS train, and that is the crucial thing. These drivers would have known that, and they would be seeing these hards, and if they see these hards enough, they can certainly keep on going for an extra couple laps and ensure that those tyres get to the end, those mediums get to the end with much more ease than their rivals. Whereas, in comparison, the drivers behind, they don't really have that information. they're not. They kind of pit early off from the mediums because they have to, because that's when the pit window is. But they don't know how long those hards are lasting, in comparison. So those hards could have pitted the extra couple laps earlier. They might have pitted too early. You don't know. It is at the moment. It is a case of, well, it's definitely not pitting too early. But yeah. And at the moment they've just got to use those tyres to catch them through. Just catch them up and take a slow running again, and just make sure they keep those tyres in check, make no sort of major errors. Unfortunately, I think Vortex tyres are beginning to fall away, as we see a bit of battling between the Williams. It's Jensen Rosen and Tamas Cogney side by side. Tamas managed to withhold the Williams of Jensen Rosen. It's currently both FVR drivers looking to try and assume P8 on track at the moment, which will return to be P4 on the road, P3 after penalties once once everything is all said and done. At the moment, it is currently still anyone's game. Tony's 1.7 seconds ahead. I guess the S-Scene helped them go longer. It certainly probably did, but it would have also meant the media runners would have probably been able to go that extra couple laps longer. However, will these drivers come in this time round? No, they will not. They will stay out the extra lap again. I wonder if Vortex makes the pit lane. Yes, he becomes the first of the 4 hard runners to enter the pit lane, and he's got a 10-second time penalty. That is another driver who's been caught off by that pit lane, and that is a very unfortunate day for the Mercedes, who will come into the pit lane and have to now. He'll come out behind Alex Guevara. I think he will. I think all these drivers will end up coming out behind Alexei. Yeah, or actually they might just come out ahead of him, or at least those 3. It depends on if they go another couple laps or not. At the moment, it is going to be a very difficult race for the likes of Vortex Day. 10-second time penalty for him, and he's currently P10, and it's going to be very hard to get anything much more out of this race. At the moment, Angela Dortensia, Cameron Dad, Liam Stevens, Tony Adela currently are top 4 with Larry Tolkien P5, who's now 2 seconds off of Tony. Tony is trying to make that gap. He's still got another 8 seconds to make, but if these drivers start to cause each other issues later on in the race, he will certainly pounce. 10-second time penalty for Liam Stevens now. That is like the 6th driver in this race to be caught out by a 10-second time penalty in this scenario. And Angelo Dortencio comes to the pit lane to put mediums on. So does Cameron Dow. So does Liam Stevens. But Liam Stevens earned himself a 10-second time penalty in the process as they come out in the same formation they did as the rest of the field gets himself through to the through to turn 1. 3-second time penalty for Damien Carril as the McLaren does not help his opportunity in taking the charge against Larry Tolke. Tony Hietala 2.2 ahead of the Alpine, and the Haas needs to really start to get some more ground now. Yes, it's difficult, but it at least has broken DRS. Keep in mind, can be reduced to 5 for speeding. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. If it is, so yeah, it can help that as well. If you get penalised for speeding, 5-second time penalty, 5 or 10-second into the day, that does make the difference. So we'll see if Tony done enough, basically, in that sense to get it reduced, but as well, if he can pull that sort of gap as well. I wish some degree the game could kind of let you edit these in like the settings, just edit like the time penalties, so like that would be a bit easier to comprehend. But anyway, we can't really say much about that. As you see, a bit of battling potentially to go on between Damien Carril and Tamas Cockney. At the moment, currently DRS for the Williams as the papaya car. The papaya car looks to defend. He defends hard. He pushes him on the grass as the Williams pushes him against him. He's going to push him wide. And the McLaren, but I guess that's fair game at the end of the day. Damien really pushed him against the grass and really didn't help his chance there. And at the moment, and Tamas kept his foot in, kept it going, 2 wheels on the grass, and managed to get the move done. Bit of wheel banging, but both the drivers at the end of the day managed to keep it, well, somewhat in the zone. But at the end of the day, that way the papaya car was racing, that the Williams was fair game with how he dealt with the next corner. At the end of the day, It is now Thomas Cogley, P3, P2 for Larry Tolkey, and this is not the review you want to be seeing if you're the Alpine. You see one of your rivals catching you, you know that one of the others are on his way, and at the moment, if you trying to narrow down that gap in the championship, it is certainly not going to help. And at the moment, Larry Tolkey currently got a 7/10 gap to Thomas Cogley with 10 laps to go at the end of this one. Can these guys, how much will these guys have in terms of tyres left? Who is going to come out on top? It is still anyone's game, and that is a significant line to say, and that is a rare line to say with 10 laps to go. Currently have 7 or 8 drivers who can technically take away this one. At the moment, you really even include the 2 behind if everything goes some sort of other way. But it is really a case of who's kept their tyres in check, who's done the best strategy, who's done the best DRS management and engine management, and who's put themselves in the right position at the right time. We are starting to see Andrea Hortensio, Cameron Dowds, Liam Stevens begin to catch that top 5, but they've got 5 cars to get through, with 4 cars really. But they need to make sure they do it cleanly, because they cannot afford picking up a penalty, damage, or too much time lost to the cars in front. They've got to bear in mind, they've got to keep these tyres in check, because they can't push them to the end of time, because they will still run out of tyre grip. They've got to put themselves in a position where, yes, they can push harder than the drivers in front, but they don't want to overcook them and end themselves in a position where they are falling backwards behind the drivers who have managed to keep their tyres in check. And at the moment, it could be it could go anyway. It really depends on who and what everyone is doing and who's done the best job at every single minute detail of this circuit and has managed to perfect and optimize every single part of it. We now go through towards the end of lap 27 and start of lap 28. Tony Hietala 2.5 second lead. With that penalty looming, he could certainly end this race with either a 10 or 5 second penalty. We're not sure. I'm not sure it can be reduced, so I assume it's not definite, but it depends on the speed, I presume, the penalty loss, or is it definite 5? I don't know. If it's definite 5, then that's a different ball game, but we're going to see battling between Angelo D'Ortenzio and Jenson Rosen. Angelo D'Ortenzio moves up to P5 as Jenson Rosen goes off the circuit. The Ferrari is now in a top 5 position. I wonder if Jenson Rosen feel he was a bit hard done by that, but he continues on anyway, as the Ferrari continues to hunt and charge against these drivers. He's going to pick them off one by one. Gets a massive exit, and Damien Carrillo just lets the Ferrari go. As meanwhile, Cameron Dowds up the inside, tries to make the move stick. He made the move stick against Jenson Rosen. He's up to P6. Liam Stevens has to sit behind for P7, but he will have the traction on the exit against the Williams. He's going to try and make the move 6. We're now 2x2, like it is Noah's Ark as we go up towards the main straight. Cameron Dowds moves up to P5, P7 for Liam Stevens, potentially P6 by the end of the straight. Diving on the entire Damien Carrillo does not fight that one. I think he let off the throttle. If anything, he was not going to continue to fight that dude. He knows his race is with Jenson Rosen, and he's now pushed himself down to P7 and Jenson Rosen down to P8. That is 2 positions done for those 3. 3 more to go if they want to win it on track. If they want to win it on penalties, it's going to be a little bit of a different story. At the moment, we'll continue on. Andrew D'Ortenzio now trying to push himself within that 1 second window. It's still anyone's game. We've got 3 of the championship contenders currently sitting themselves in a position where they can take any of them could take the victory, and a position which could ultimately change the complexion of this race, of how we look of the final race. Tony Hietala 2.9 in the lead. If these 3 fight heavily, it is still on for him. 4 drivers, 5 drivers including Cameron Dowds, I believe he could still put himself in the mix of things. As we see, battle between Jensen Rosen and Damien Carrillo, who Damien, I think, let him go quite early as well. Again, as he continues on as Jensen Rosen, again, a driver who is not exactly out of this. If things could fall his way, he could certainly end up, he'll need to catch the field again, but if something happens in the next couple of laps, it could certainly fall any which way. We now go through towards sector 2, through sector 2 now, through the slower part of the circuit as the track slows down, as the track just winds through here, and Larry Tolke is now 3 seconds behind Tony here. Teller, if that is a 5-second penalty, 2 seconds is left to game for Tony. At the end of the day, it still could any go which way, but it's 6 laps to go at the moment. It is still too tight to call, as Andrea D'Ortenzio is going to have DRS on Tamas has DRS on the Alpine. Is there going to be any opportunity there for Andrea D'Ortenzio? He is well too far back at this stage, but he's going to have much more grip into turn 1 and 2 and 3, but I don't think he'll be wanting to make a move here. He's going to be ready to try and pounce into turn 4, but again, DRS for Tamas at this stage really do help him. Tamas trying to break the slipstream, but Angelo really trying to make sure that he cannot he does not break it much, and at the moment these drivers are still pushing, and it is going to be Angelo who's going to have the advantage through here. Is he going to have any opportunity to go through? No, he does not. Tamas breaks late enough that he does avoid any sort of battle at this moment in time. As we see, Angelo is looking at it like his prey. He goes to the outside. He's going to look and try and do what he tried to do only 15 or 20 laps ago. He couldn't get the run on exit. He's had to sit behind. Is there going to be an opportunity to dive it here? No, he's too far back. But Tamas is wise to him. He is wise to the games. He is wise to the battles that these two have played over the season. And at the moment, Angelo D'Ortenzio could be in opportunity of taking the final podium spot away from Tamas, but could Tamas beat Larry Tolke? They're both trying to get close enough to each other. Up the inside, tries to go Angelo. Tamas has had to go wide. He's off put his line, and that has allowed Angelo to pull into that right into that slipstream, right in there. He's got the slipstream, he's got the DRS. He's not close enough. As the Williams trying to defend, they are desperately close to one another, and at the moment that's allowed Angelo D'Ortenzio to get the run on the exit. He's managed to switch the line, and he has taken P3, and that is going to be enough for Tamas. He tries to fight back, but nothing quite at this stage, as at the moment here comes Cameron Dowd. He's trying to make the move stick, but late braking there from Tamas manages to avoid it. But is it going to be enough? Is that going to be game set match there for the Tamas, as he's going to have to now try and defend against Cameron Dowd, who does the undercut? But we've seen Tamas defend this before, but does he have the tyres to do it now? He does so at the moment, but this is going to allow Cameron Dowd to have the extremely better run on the exit. He darts it to the inside to defend. Cameron has to back out of that one, but he is still not over as we slipstream, we DRS, we use the ERS, as they both are trying desperately, millimetres separate them. Not even an A4 piece of paper could slide in that gap. And at the moment, we make it 3 wide briefly, because Cameron Dowd moves up to P4, but is that going to be enough as Tamas tries to fight him? Liam Stevens gets himself involved, but Liam Stevens tries to get to P5. He maybe gets to P4 by the end of the corner. He does so. Aston Martin manages to pull a blinder there as he moves up to the P4 position, as Tamas trying to fight against Cameron to reclaim P5, but he's unable to do anything. Excellent racing between the three of them, and excellent race class from Liam Stevens to move up to P4, and that is a fantastic battle from there. Back to Angelo D'Ortenzio. P15 start, P3 currently, lap 33 or 36. Angelo D'Ortenzio, Larry Tolke. Currently, this is what you are looking at, and this could be what we are looking at in terms of a championship fight in the final race in when we end the 3 laps time
But currently, they've got to bear in mind, if they battle too hard, it is going to allow Tony Hiatella to pull out that 5-second window. And if that is going to be enough for him to reduce the penalty, it is going to be that it's still Tony in this race. Anything can happen, but Angelo is going to try and fight Larry at the moment. He tries to look to the inside. Nothing they can do against Larry there. His tyres will start to fade, and they will be fading fast. And at the moment, the Ferrari knows this. He knows he's got to try and do something now, because he's not going to have much of an opportunity in the corners in the next cut. As every lap passes, he's going to struggle more and more as he's going to come closer and closer to Larry Tolke's pace. But the Ferrari is still pushing. He is trying everything he can to make sure he can take victory in this race and take the lead on the championship. Himself. Take the lead of the championship himself. And Angelo Hortensio now. DRS, slipstream, ERS. He pulls to the lead, but Larry unable to do anything at the moment. Is that the championship lead there for him? I think he might miss out by a point, but that is currently a potentially championship deciding move if things go another way. Angelo D'Hortensio, Larry Tolke currently P2 and P3. Tony Hiatella 3.6 clear, but with a lap and 3/4 to go, it is going to be a very, very tall order to gain a second and a half, unless something ridiculous happens in those final lap and a half. Now it is the counting down the moments, counting down the seconds. It has been an exciting race, but Angelo D'Hortensio looks to have made this game, set and match. Can Larry Tolke stay within 5 seconds of Tony Hiatella to guarantee him at least P2 if that 10-second gets reduced? And at the moment, he certainly needs to. He's got Liam Stevens behind him currently. We go on to the final lap of the race for Tony Hiatella, currently 3 seconds out front. Unfortunately for him, he's going to have to settle with whatever position is at the end of the race on penalties. But Larry Tolke is going to have the opportunity. He's currently 3.7 back from Tony Hiatella. He's got to make sure he don't lose that final 1.3 to guarantee himself P2, because at the moment that's 20 points and he is 19 back in the standings. That'll put him a single point championship lead over Diego Zorzo, guaranteeing that Diego Zorzo will not win the championship. But Angelo D'Hortensio will be on 25 points from this race, and he's got a 24-point gap to Diego Zorzo. So that will leave them both even on points. And Angelo D'Hortensio, he has race wins. Larry Tolke does not. Angelo D'Hortensio will lead the championship on countback if it stays like this. And at the moment, Tony Hiatella comes round the final braking zone and goes up the hill now to come towards the line. It won't be his day in the sun in terms of taking the race win due to that penalty, but he can hold his head high. He's drove an excellent race to take P1 on track, but it's P1 for Angelo D'Hortensio, who takes victory in Sao Paulo. Larry Tolke will finish P2. Cameron Dowds takes his podium for the main podium of the season in P3. Thomas Gockley finishes P4. Jensen Rosen P5. Tony Hiatella finishes P6. Again, penalties to be judged. Jamie Carrillo P7. Liam Stevens P8. Alexa Cavero P9. Vortex Stick P10. Formula Kai rounds out our finishers. And that was a race and a half. And now, as things stand, the championship, I believe, is equal on points. I believe it is equal on points between Angelo D'Hortensio and Larry Tolke. And I believe I am right. Heading into the final race weekend of the season, both drivers will end up on 92 points. 1 point ahead of Diego Zorzo, guaranteeing that he is not champion. They are ahead of Pascal Ranelli by, I think, 21 points. Yes, 21 points, meaning Pascal Ranelli has an outside shot at the championship. Angelo D'Hortensio No, sorry, Jensen Rosen sits. Thomas Cockney, he's on 20 points. I think I'm not sure where he finished off the top of my head. I think he finished top P5, which would put him still in that championship fight, I believe. But yeah, still firmly in that championship fight. And I think Jensen Rosen remains mathematically in it as well. So we do have 5 drivers, and it's just kicked me out. Unfortunately, I didn't get the results. Well, they're on the screen. That's fine. But that is our race. Thank you all for watching. Unfortunately, I weren't looking at the screen. So yeah. Alex Guevara takes. So that is no. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong name. Larry Tolkey, Andre Hortensio, Pascal Ranelli, Thomas Hockney, I think Jensen Rosen as well, are all in that championship fight. We've got 2 drivers equal on points into the final race of the season. That is next week in Abu Dhabi, the final race of the season. Be there next week, and we will see who is crowned champion of Division 1.